Welcome to another edition of Choice Cuts. I am Ryan Turek, the managing editor of ShockTillYouDrop.com, and today I'm joined by Mike Mendez.
Hello.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
What's up?
Not much. I hear this is brought to by Nintendo. Is that bad to say?
Nintendo Spirit Camera. No, not at all.
All right. Thank you, Nintendo.
Nintendo-sponsored episode.
We love that.
We're thrilled. We're thrilled. And you're a big video game nerd, so...
For the most part. Not as much as I used to be, but I grew up with Nintendo, so Super Mario Brothers, you know.
If you guys didn't know, Mike directed The Convent.
Yes.
And Gravedancers. And you are now at work on MegaSpider.
Or Big Ass Spider. We have not decided on a title yet, but it's going to be up to the U.S. distributor.
Jesus,
I'm more
so
Big Ass Spider.
confusing.
I know. That's what the producer says. Everybody knows it as MegaSpider. I need to come to terms with it that it's called MegaSpider. I think I'm in just denial of it, really, because all the foreign buyers are like, "We love MegaSpider. We love this title." And
I'm
like,
poster.
I know exactly, but I'm like, no, it's Big Ass Spider. It's different.
Well, if you guys haven't seen the poster features the MegaSpider climbing up the side of a massive building in Los Angeles.
Yes, the biggest building in Los Angeles. I was like, damn it, if we're making a giant spider movie, I want to see, I want to do a King Kong and see it climb the biggest, building in LA. So
yeah, well, I mean,
US Bank building.
You've shown me some of the footage, and it looks really cool. I mean,
yeah, very excited.
Really, really excited about it. You showed me the opening sequence.
Yes.
With Greg Grunberg.
Yep.
Who else stars in this movie?
We've got Ray Wise and Lynn Shay, and we have Claire Kramer, who is also in Gravedancers, and we have Lombardo Boyar, who you probably don't know, but he's awesome and he's hilarious in the movie, and he's going to really stand out, I think. And a giant spider. So there we go.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of our friends who were all the extras.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's one big happy family out here.
Well, we didn't pay it extra. I'm very proud of this. This is this is where I get the spirit of Corman of kind of like, thanks to Facebook and Twitter, we paid for no extras.
But where were things at in the horror genre? Did you find yourself kind of going, holy shit, it's tougher to get another movie off the ground? Or...
Well, for me, it certainly was. I would say Gravedancers came out at a time that there was like a flood of horror movies.
Yeah.
It was like pretty much after kind of the wave of Saw being successful and The Grudge, and so suddenly, especially, kind of really violent, bloody films and just horror in general just kind of flooded the market, and it was hard to get, your movie distributed for the most part, and that's where the After Dark Film Festival came in. I was very happy we were part of the first year when they actually had money. To promote the movies. Then it fell off a little bit. But at least the first one was able to get it out in 500 theaters and whatnot. But yeah, after that, after completing that, it was actually somewhat successful. But no, it was really difficult to get a movie off the ground. I tried for like 2-3 years with kind of a 3D 80s throwback called Dead Stuff. Couldn't get that going. Then I had a Western I was trying to do. Then kind of a crazy movie, which is looking like it'll be my next movie called Overkill. Couldn't get really any of them going. And then I got a call one day kind of going, hey, we want to do this giant spider movie. And my first reaction, it was called Dino Spider when I read it. And my first reaction was like, God, has it really come to this already? And the answer was yes. So it was sort of like, okay, what do I need to do to get myself out of this? So this is not what I want to do. So nothing against the giant B-movie monster genre. They've been a staple,
decades,
but I think they've been run through the gutter. I think a lot of people have given them a bad name.
Well, I mean, I could see back in the day, like an older generation who were raised on the Atomic Age movies.
Right.
I mean, that stuff was new. It was fresh.
Yeah,
it was,
totally.
Oh my God, it's like these little bite-sized terrors are grown up to 50 stories and are attacking giant towns. And,
right, exactly.
Today, I mean, it seems like they're just running the gamut, like you said, of just every single thing you can slap together, like a
mega python or a rhino beetle or what, I don't know.
And but I'd like to meet the people who actually see these movies. I mean, like, there is a fan base.
Obviously, they make them and people watch them, and that was what we're finding already even on this one, is that, like, the foreign buyers, they love the stuff. They want it to be called MegaSpider. I did everything I could to not be like one of those kind of like, I don't want to disparage, the other movies, but, for the most part, there's a lot of shitty ones, and I did everything I could to rise above it, and so that's what kills me, is that, like, but no, let's name it just like, Mega Python, Mega Piranha, Mega, whatever, Mega Streisand, whatever. But yeah, we were trying very hard to kind of like elevate beyond that, and but there is an audience, and that there is kind of like a comfort knowing that no matter what, like that audience will be there for it. But we aspire to bigger things, so we'll see where it ends up. I don't know.
Well, it seems like you aspire to be bigger things by getting it on the script level,
right?
Trying to make it a little bit better. I mean, did you do a lot of script work on it?
I did, yeah. I mean, the script was fairly, not to take anything away from the script, it was actually, again, originally it was called Spider, right? And I'm like, what the hell? And I read it, and it wasn't terrible. It was actually okay. But I have a comedic sensibility, let's call it, which I didn't feel was quite as strong on my last film, Gravedancers, and I was like, and it was 6 years between movies, which drove me crazy. And so I'm like, look, if I'm gonna do another movie, I'm gonna treat this like this is my last movie I'll ever make, and I'm just gonna like give it everything. And so I wanted like my more comedic vocal, my comedic voice to really shine through. And so yeah, I did a rewrite, and it really scared the producers for a long time, kind of going like, what this is a comedy? And I'm like, no! No, not exactly. But it felt like, especially when you're dealing with a low budget, because it's a fairly low budget movie, you now have to play to your strengths. And, it just sort of snowballed that way that I kind of like, brought out the funnier elements in there. And again, there were comedic tones already in there to begin with. And then when we got Greg Grunberg in there and Lombardo Boyard, they just took it to a whole other level of comedy. And everyone involved in the movie, which is why I think I'm very pleased with the way it's coming out. Just everyone took it to another level. No one ever really for a minute thought, okay, this is called MegaSpider. We can just phone it in and shit this out. No one cares. Who's going to see this? Everyone really treated it like it was an A-list film, and it just snowballed. Everyone just fed off each other's creative energy, and it just kept getting funnier and funnier and funnier. And it's not an all-out comedy. I mean, it does have scary moments. It is the creature itself is very vicious, but yeah, we did certainly go for a lot of laughs, and yeah, I think I'm really happy at the collaboration of how it came out in the end.
Talk about the main characters who Greg and Lombardo play.
Greg is a down and out exterminator, but he works for Western Exterminator. They were kind enough to donate trucks and uniforms and exterminating equipment, much like Nintendo is sponsoring us today. So they were kind enough to give us all the stuff, and so Greg Grunberg plays a Western Exterminator, and this thing is the best commercial for them that they will ever have. Because, he's their employee, he's on his off day, and he gets bitten by a spider, and it just so happens he goes to a hospital where a government experiment has gone wrong, and a MegaSpider, a baby MegaSpider, or big-ass spider, has, buried itself inside a patient's chest and erupts outside at the hospital. And so they need help, and it becomes sort of a race, sort of like Twister, where you have the exterminator trying to save the city versus the government who's going to, like, bomb L.A., to destroy it. And so he's trying to race against them to save L.A. And his sidekick is Lombardo Boyard, who is a security guard, a Mexican security guard who knows nothing about spiders, is deathly afraid of them, and they go along this adventure. So.
Sounds like you have like a little bit of Abbott Costello.
Absolutely, that was largely it. I mean, a lot of the inspiration was like Ghostbusters, Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein, and actually Abbott Costello meet Frankenstein is very much the right tone, because the scary stuff is scary, and we take that stuff seriously. But it's like, well, what if you had two idiots that were your heroes to carry this through? And so that's where a lot of the fun came.
So you shot it all on location in Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles, that was very hard for us.
Yeah? How so?
No, I'm kidding. No, it's great. I mean, I love shooting in LA. I mean, I've made 4 movies. Only one of them has not shot in LA, and that's the only one that went terribly. And that was Gravedancers. That was North Carolina. God bless it, but it was not an easy shoot. But yeah, no. I mean, originally the production company wanted to shoot it in New Mexico, but in LA you have your friends, you have the best crews in the world, you have the best equipment, you have the best actors. It's much easier to get like cameos from people to come down for a day, as opposed to like, yeah, come out to New Mexico. We got green chilies and things. There's nothing in New Mexico, by the way. Most of the time, movies shoot out of town is because of a tax incentive and whatnot.
Sure.
Louisiana being one of the big ones, Detroit, et cetera, et cetera. And so New Mexico had one. That was the allure for going. But by the time you fly everyone out, you pay them per diem, put them up in hotels. When you're a micro-budget movie, what are you really saving? So it kind of became more like, hey, let's just, again, part of the thing for me and part of the reason why I love shooting in LA I used to make movies when I was a kid, and when I was a kid, it was all about just getting your friends together in your backyard and making crazy monster movies or zombie movies or whatever that we used to make. And so that spirit was still very much alive in me, you know, and I was like, well, okay, now we're older and we have more talented friends and we have better equipment, you know, where digital technology has come is staggering. So it's like, let's take that spirit of being kids again. Let's just really get all our friends together and just make a big monster movie, you know, just like as big as we can imagine it. You know, we never let the budget really dictate it. I mean, you know, thankfully the script was clever enough to have very contained locations for the most part. But, you know, we said, let's go for it, though. It's like, if this giant spider's going to attack L.A., let's have it attack L.A., let's have it attack City Hall, let's have it attack, you know, the U.S. Bank building and just rampage downtown L.A. It's ultimately what I was doing is just a movie like I was in college or high school, and it really became just sort of like, yeah, let's get our friends together, let's get that enthusiasm, and it really hadn't changed from when I was a kid, and if anything, really reinvigorated my love for making movies, because it was really back to basics and back to you know, grassroots and just kind of making movies with your friends.
Who did the effects on this?
Well, okay, the practical effects was handled by Soda Effects, and if you want the background on that, you know, there's a show called Monster Man that you will see the dirty details of what went into that. You know,
you get to see the making of MegaSpider on the show.
On Monster Man.
Nice.
It's the 3rd episode. This may air after.
Maybe.
I don't know. March 28th is when the Monster Man episode will air.
Yeah.
And the practical effects did not go that well. And that breaks my heart, because I am a practical effects guy at heart. I wanted to be a makeup artist when I was a kid. It's my favorite thing about making horror movies is working with the effects people. I love it. I love designing the creature. I love, you know, seeing it there on set. I love the puppeteering. And it went miserably. I have a giant piece of shit spider that is in my living room that is now, actually, last night I'm like, this should go in the closet because I don't want to see this. You know, and again, most of my life I've been like, yeah, digital sucks, fucking CGI is, can we swear on this?
Sure.
CGI is bullshit, man, like fucking this is, you know, crap. And now all of a sudden, two things. A, I've always been a lover of 35 millimeter, and so now all of a sudden we're shooting red, and you know, and so I'm falling in love with the digital, you know, side of it. And I hate this. I started to turn into George Lucas. I started to, you know, start going, let's just add digital helicopters there and maybe some digital cars and explosions and yeah, no, erase him.
See, but that's fine as long as you're not doing this 5 years later after MegaSpider's come out, and then you said, well,
who knows? Maybe we'll do the Redux later. But no, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't really like CGI characters, but obviously, you know, between Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Gollum and, you know, a lot has been done. I've always been a fan of the hybrid of partially practical effects and partially CG. But for the most part, 95% of this movie ended up being CG. And the thing is, though, it's like the practical was not, I don't want to say anything bad, but it was not the best. And the CG was, so far, I mean, we're only the beginning of the process, but we have, you know, probably a good, you know, 30 effect shots done. The spider looks fabulous. You know, the spider's amazing. You know,
I was really impressed by what you had shown me the other night. You know, it was the spider, you know, at the top of a building. But like, I like the weight that the animators gave it.
Yeah,
like
totally.
You know, it's awkward. It's stumbling around. It's trying to find its footing. You know,
yeah,
on top of this
totally.
building.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. You know, the other thing about it that you know that was the same as doing practical effects versus digital effects is that, you know, the creating of the monster ultimately is the same. You know, it's like, and that's one of the things I really got into and that really got me excited about the project was like, you know, at first, you know, I think originally on the artwork it was some big tarantula or whatever, and I just felt that was boring. And I love Black Widows. Just, you know, I think they're cool looking, and I've never seen one in a movie, so I was like, I want to do a Black Widow. And then because in the script it has alien DNA, I'm like, fuck it, let's just like literally do like an alien spider, like a Giger spider. And so that's what it ultimately was a Black Widow meets the Alien Queen. And so you know, the more we got into that and the more like design stuff I was getting, pretty soon I was like, you know, again, I went from like Dino Spider to like, fuck yeah, you know, fucking Dino Spider.
You found something to get excited about.
We got rid of the Dino. It became an alien spider. But yes, yeah, no, absolutely. There became a lot to get excited about. You know, first it was the creature, then it was the comedy, then it was the performances, and then, you know, and then pretty much it was just kind of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to oversell it like this is going to change cinema or anything, but I think as far as a a monster movie goes. I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah, well, I think that what's kind of cool is we're seeing a lot of guys whose work we liked before. I mean, I'm a fan of Convent and Gravedancers, and I'm sure there are a lot of other people out there too. But we're seeing guys with a little bit of legitimacy in terms of being able to kind of push the envelope and have a little bit of fun with stuff.
Right.
Getting into these sci-fi movies and kind of pushing out like the old guard, who have been through.
Right.
Running the gamut of running, kind of the subgenre to the ground. So we get to see you doing MegaSpider. We get to see like Drew Daywalt doing
the Leprechaun.
Leprechaun's Revenge.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, that's kind of cool.
Well, I hope so. I mean, certainly that was part of the thing of this. Is you just want to breathe new life into it. Again, like I said before, it's like we never took it as like a chance to like just shit something out. It was just sort of like, okay, if I was, and I don't know that this is necessarily going to be a Sci-Fi Channel movie. It may be a logical place for it, but it's just an independent film. I was just like, but how would I approach that type of movie, and that was sort of like the challenge for myself. Because another thing is the producers were like, well, they didn't say no gore. There's a little gore in it, but I sort of took it as a challenge of like, well, how could I do this without being extremely gory and still satisfy myself and not feel I wussed out? And it was oddly natural. If anything, I think like to overly gore this movie would be weird. I had more fun, especially since the people are so many digital characters in there, of just how many people I could kill. That's a game I'm still playing with the effects house of like, well, okay, all right, technically, we can get away with, it's like you can't show a graphic decapitation, but like if a piece of debris should flatten 50 people at the same time, we're okay with this, So it sort of became this thing of like it's a really subversive game, because I think like a 12-year-old on could certainly watch this movie, but they will see a lot of people die.
Well, I think that's you and I think Michael Bay play that game. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
Transformers movie. There's like a whole buildings being destroyed with people in.
And that's funny. It's funny you mention that, because like I'm not a huge Michael Bay fan, I must admit, but for whatever reason I like the first Transformers movie. I like it a lot, and I was sort of thinking about that movie a lot, about like how Megatron will just flick people and just you don't even think of like, yeah, that guy would like have his spine shattered if that really happened. And so I was sort of playing that game of like, well, fuck them, they're digital, so who cares? But it became a thing of how many people get stomped, stabbed, webbed, eaten, chewed up, and so the death toll is huge, but it's all under this guise of like, well, it's sort of a family film, but it really isn't.
Why not?
Yeah. So.
Well, tell us about Overkill a little bit, because that was something that you had done like a sales trailer or a promo trailer for a while ago.
And funny enough, like a producer came on board, which has recently left, but oh well, right at the same time I got MegaSpider. So it was like I was, like hadn't done a movie in like 5 years at that time. All of a sudden, like, I get MegaSpider, then Overkill gets greenlit, and I was like, damn it, what the hell do I do? But, I'd committed to MegaSpider already, and over the course of the time, the other producer went away. New producers are in and new funding is in place, and so I hope we're supposed to go on that within about 4 months, I hope. Overkill was just sort of like the idea back to just making movies with your friends. I was just sort of like, well, okay, I know I'm not going to have a lot of money for this, so what is a movie that I can do just with friends and just the people around us that I'd want to see? And again, I don't know. There was a short time in the, I guess it was the late 90s, early 2000s that like, that you had all the versus movies. You had Alien versus Predator and Freddy versus Jason and all that stuff. And I was like, I like that. I don't know if that's really stupid of me, but I mean, I don't know. We still have it. We have, the Avengers and the Expendables, and I like these mashup movies. And so I was like, well, what is something I can do on a budget that I would really like to see happen? And it's like, I want to see just all the slashers together. I mean, obviously you're not going to get the Freddy Krueger, you're not going to get the Jason, but you can create something like them. Yeah. And so it was sort of like, what is a movie that can bring all the killers together? And my original idea was sort of do like a Death Race 2000, but I couldn't wrap my head around like, who's the protagonist? You can't like have Leatherface be your guy you follow, like, you wouldn't get into him. So went more Running Man and went more like human contestants, several obstacle courses filled with slashers, and I was inspired by at that time like Crank 2. I just like the kind of energy to it. So I was sort of like, well, let's just literally take like 6 or 8 slasher movies, take all the good parts, and set it to really loud industrial music and make the bloodiest carnage fest for 85 minutes that I could. And so that's honestly the goal, is just to make like an 85-minute music video of gore, destruction, and death, using all the slashers. I mean, there's a story in there, and not the heaviest and most serious story, but it's more about a feeling, and it's more about about overkill. It's like we're not going to kill 6 people, we're going to kill 47.
Right.
Graphically and violently with chainsaws and knives, and so so it's sort of like literally slamming a bunch of horror movies together, mixing them in a blender, and throwing them back out is the plan.
Well, Mike, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Everybody, look for MegaSpider sometime maybe this year.
I would think, it's 5 months of effects to go here. I would think we're going to be. I'm hoping we'll be premiering it at a festival come August, September, October.
Perfect time for it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that it'll be hitting the festival circuit pretty hard. Both internationally and LA. Starting probably after August. So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
All
Everybody,
right,
thank you for once again tuning in to Choice Cuts.
And thank you, Nintendo Spirit.
Absolutely.
All right.
We'll be back.
All right.